Hello, and back to another episode of Into the Gray. We've had an experience of gray things this past week. Was it this last week or
Past
weekend?
weekend. It's
Last
hard to
weekend.
believe it's been a weekend.
It feels like it's been a month since the time that we want to talk about, and it's only been a week. So, since Jody had a lot of the thoughts about what we experienced, I'm going to let him lead the conversation today. Go
So,
ahead.
it's kind of interesting. So last weekend, Judy and I had the opportunity to head down to Orem, Utah,
And our family came.
and our family. So Devin and Zane flew in, and then we drove down with Christian, his girlfriend Bree, and Ashton, and met Kaylani down for her graduation. So congrats and kudos to her and all of the students that put in the hard work. And it was such a fun weekend. I mean, it was a fun drive down. We're having such good conversation. It was a fun drive back. But I had this really, it was really a first experience for me. So, all of our kids, Kaylani's the youngest. So we've had graduations, we've had events, right? And all of the events in the past, at least from my perspective, have all centered around our family, right? Devin graduated. It was really us. I think Rhonda came in for it. And it's always been
Were you
centered
talking about
around our
graduating like
family.
high
High
school?
school,
Okay.
yes. Right. So all of these, because she's the only one that's graduated from college, right? So all of the other graduations have been high school, and they've been really centric around our family and celebrating. And so, we go to the graduation, and that graduation experience was completely different because they did it differently. And then, but what was funny was as we were walking into the graduation, because we actually were walking with Kaylani, we were walking with our kids, you and her boyfriend Mateo was there, and Angela, his mom, and his sister. And I started watching this interaction between her and Mateo and her and Angela. And then after the graduation, we were all gathered around for photos, right? And so we take pictures of her and her friends. And then we're taking pictures of Kaylani and Mateo. Then we're taking pictures of Mateo, Angela, and the grandma and the sister. And for a moment, I was sitting there and I felt like an outsider looking in. I didn't feel like I was participating and it was really weird. I mean, it was almost this surreal vision in my mind and in my heart that, hey, here's my daughter. She's graduating. Yay, super excited for her. But I also was watching this interaction between her and her boyfriend, and also her and Angela, his mom, and they have such a fun relationship, both her and Mateo, and also her and Angela and the sister. I mean, her and Gabby are super close. And the realization hit me really profoundly that I was watching a transition of our little girl becoming not only, a woman and graduating and getting ready to step off into this new venture, but that this new phase of her life was going to involve different players, players that involved a very loving and caring family. And it really struck me. And for a moment, like I said, I felt like I was outside looking in, like I was a stranger, but I wasn't a stranger, right? And then we all had the joint family picture and stuff, and then we spent the next couple of days with them, which was amazing. But yeah, so let's just start there, because that's where the thought came. And I think a lot of couples experience this, especially as their kids are transitioning out of their home and into their own lives. They're still a part of your family, but they also are beginning their own families. They're beginning their own ventures, and an independent young man or independent young woman. And eventually they're going to, have totally new experiences that do not include us.
Okay. That is really actually very profound that you experienced that, because I definitely viewed it a different way than actually I didn't have those feelings at all, other than I think it was a natural progression for me to see our kids, because they each have, I mean, obviously she's our youngest. Our oldest is already doing his thing, and Devin's got his boyfriend, and they're on doing their own lives and all of that. And so seeing that, it just is a natural progression and transition and away from us. And so I think and so that's happened with each of our kids in different ways. And I just thought, oh, I just think it's interesting that you had seen it more so, or affect you more so, with Kaylani. And I just think that's interesting how that is, because for me the experience was more of a, just really, I guess, just because it's just the transition of, hey, she's moving on to, after graduation, the next steps. There's other people involved, because there's always going to be other people involved. Like she makes, people make other friends, family, whatever. And so I didn't experience it that way. So go ahead, continue on.
Well, the thing that was so profoundly different than Devin and Christian and Zane and everybody is this was the first time that we've had another family involved, okay, right? And there is a real connection.
The other family.
Right. And there is a real connection between Kaylani and Mateo and Angela and their dad, Diego, who we met later on in the day. And it just really made me realize that there comes a point where your kids are going to, we'd already seen this, right? We've had great experiences with her friends, her teammates. That aspect of her life, we've been really excited about. We've enjoyed every bit of it. But this was the first time where I could actually see her being part of another family and creating her own family. I mean, and I'm not, prophesying anything or making any announcements. It just was, this dynamic was really, really powerful, and it was really engaging, and it was very loving and very endearing on all aspects. I mean, it was very endearing, and it was fun to watch. But on the same token, it also was like, whoa, I'm not the center anymore. You and I aren't the center anymore. She's going off, and our kids are really going off, and they're creating their own lives.
Yeah, okay. God, I love it. I'm glad you got to experience something like that, and you can feel that more. I think too, because she has more independence. They all have independence, but because she's already been so independent. So each of our kids, and this is what I love about how we raised our kids, they're very independent. They're, self-reliant in many ways. And so if we don't hear from them, it's not because we don't love them or because they don't love us. At least I hope that, I believe that. I like to think that. It's because we raised them the way we needed to, which is go fly and experience life. And definitely we're always here. Anytime. You can always come home. You can always call us. That, the kids know that. And we don't get to talk to them on the daily basis, right? Yeah. So when they're away, that independence is there already. So I already experienced that feeling of cutting the apron strings, I guess.
Well, and I didn't feel like the apron strings have been tied to us at all, right? I mean, you and I have always.
When I say apron strings, I'm not saying that they're so dependent they have to call us and they can't live without us type thing. And if there's families that operate that way, great. That was right. I'm not discounting that. I'm just saying that, I just recognize that difference. For me, my experience is I recognize that difference already from when they flew the coop.
Well, yeah. And I think I'm with you on that. I mean, every one of our kids, when she went off to college, I was super excited, right? Because we've always raised our kids with look, go soar and dream big and go after anything that you want to do. And I always say, why not you, right? If they want to be an actor or a model or a doctor, whatever, I always say, why not you, right? We've raised our kids to go and soar and go after dreams, and they've all done that. What was different in this scenario was seeing a completely new family come into the picture. We've never had that experience, right? We've always been high five, the kids are going off, and celebrated and been
That's
their
true.
biggest fan,
We
right?
never got to meet. We haven't met our other kids and their significant others.
Never.
And their families. Not because of anything other than it just hasn't happened. Either distance, proximity, time, whatever, just wasn't. And I never really. And so then I see the difference is that we kind of still are so involved in them because we don't physically see the other family that they're involved with.
Right. And what was fun was, over the next couple of days, we spent a lot of time with Mateo's family.
They're such a great family.
Did karaoke. They made us a Colombian dinner, and that was absolutely amazing. And then we played this fun animal game, and it was loud and competitive, and it was very, reminiscent of our family and how competitive we are. And Nintendo, and we just had so much fun. So it was kind of an amazing emotional journey for me as I watched the week progress, because, on one hand, there was just that one little moment where I felt like an outsider looking in. But as the weekend progressed, I saw the kind of the building of this new relationship with their family that was really beautiful and fun.
Yeah. Agreed.
I mean, it was really fun.
I love that. And I do love the fact that, I don't know, it's really comforting to see your kids, one, just soar, do the things that they want to do, and just enjoying life and just creating their own adventures and watching them journey. It's always exciting and is always comforting to see them have supportive people around them.
Yeah.
And that's, I don't know. And then building those relationships and then being a part of that relationship. That's also a bonus, because unfortunately, we just know of families that aren't able to do that with other people and create relationships with the others. And it's whatever, but I don't know. It's fun, and it's great to see them progress that way.
Yeah, it's just that next kind of phase of life, right? And I guess that's kind of, going back to the theme of Into the Gray, right? We are confronted with these different transition points of our life, and we can either reject and repel from them, or we can embrace them as new opportunities to grow and develop and build relationships that we never thought were possible or we could imagine. I mean, you could kind of think them, but to actually see them coming to pass is really amazing.
Well, and I just think when you just said that, you said reject or repel, and I thought, I don't understand the concept of rejecting like their growth, but I guess I can't, and that's just because it's not in my wheelhouse to think I'm going to not enjoy the fact that they're growing, moving on, doing their own thing. I mean, because let's face it, we're getting gray, so we're not going to be here forever.
We're not.
So they need to, and there's nothing wrong also with the fact that, hey, you want to keep them close to you and close to your heart and close in proximity too. I'll say it again. I'm Filipino. So, I was supposed to live with my family, my parents, for the rest of my life, their life type thing. And there's nothing wrong with that too. That's great. Every to each his own and how they want to do that. But I think the whole thing is that it's wonderful to be a part and be a part of that relationship still with our children.
Mm-hmm.
And then watch their relationships and the people that are supportive of them and be able to be a part of that too, and be able to grow with that too. That's fun. And that's honestly a bonus because, I mean, they could be doing stuff with their own, with their own significant others and their own families, and you may not be a part of that, and that can be hard. And we understand then it can be and respect that. So we're very grateful that we have this opportunity to continue to this next transition, this next portion in life, that our love is growing, relationships are stronger, and they're even larger. I guess the pool of people in our lives is larger, and we love that. We love that. It's just fun. It's just fun.
It's super fun.
It's fun to see that. So, and wherever that takes them, we'll just journey with them. But I think, and one of the things that we talked about as we were talking about relationships, I think one of the things that we said today, Jody and I said today, was like, you're going to have struggles in your life and in your relationships. There's going to be struggles because that's what happens, right? Life isn't easy. People you come in contact with, people that you are in contact with, you may disagree, whatever. But if you're wanting and willing to preserve that relationship, then I think we talked about this in the previous episodes, but it bears repeating, that you're just going to need to realize that everybody has their own journey. And bottom line, the way I feel about it is that relationships, if they're worth preserving, they're worth working hard at. And that just means that if you've got to set aside first your ego and pride, and that doesn't mean like you're the only one, like this takes two in a whoever the relationship is, it could be several people, right? But the people involved need to set aside ego. That's the first thing. And then, which I know can be hard. And a lot of times because you're set in your ways, you're set in your thinking, you're set in your standards, you're set in your values, you're set. So you've created yourself as an absolute. This is what I know. This is what I'm going to do. Okay. Not saying you have to abandon your standards, but you need to abandon your ego. And that's the key. The ego and standards are two different things. The ego and values are two different things. You can still value your value. But as you understand that they have their values and their personal experiences in life, then you'll realize that like, I see. And it'll open your mind to more opportunities, just open mind and thinking. And I don't even know what the term would be, but I'm just saying it'll expand expand possibilities of anything, and what a beautiful relationship you can grow, to continue to grow, because the relationships is all it's about. You're not going to take the crap that you own here with you, that you rent, that you borrow, that you lease, that you mortgage, that you have debt in. You're not taking all that. And I'm not saying those things aren't fun to have or important to have. Just saying those are the things that you're not taking with you, but you'll take the memories, the relationships with you.
And the relationships is everything. I mean, the older we get, the grayer we get, the more we realize.
I'm covering my gray right now, not because I need to, because we're gonna go out, and I'm not gonna need to have. But I do have gray under here. But go ahead. Sorry, I digress.
The more seasoned I get, the more I realize that really the most important thing in life is the experiences that you have with people, and keeping the door to love always open, right? And I think a lot of times people struggle, especially with their kids leaving the nest, and it's because they lose a sense of purpose. They lose a sense of control, a sense of identity. And
Dangerous.
and that's real
Control
dangerous.
is dangerous.
Right? Control, identity, and purpose. And I think the important thing for me is recognizing that, our job as parents has always been to give our kids the tools, the foundation, the capacity to love, and the ability to have empathy, and the drive and passion to go after something bigger than themselves.
Yeah, and to think for themselves.
And then step back
Critical
and
thinking.
let them show you what they can do.
Mhm.
And that's, keeping that bridge connected is so important, but recognizing that there's two sides of a bridge. You're still connected, but you end up with two lives that are connected in love if you embrace it with the right attitude and right vision.
Very nice.
Anyway.
All right. Well, thank you for another episode, listening to another episode of Into the Gray. We will, I guess, meet you on the flip side again. Thank you.
Yes, we will.
Peace.
See ya.